Alright guys, we're back again today with another deck profile for Cardfight Vanguard Digger Days on the Nintendo Switch. This time we're going to be focusing on version 1 of our Dark States Favrneel deck, which is the deck used by Kanji Meguro, the main antagonist of the story mode of this game. So this is version 1, which is including all cards up through the first additional card pass, which is through D Booster Set 7. Now, actually, outside of the Perfect Guard, which was just chosen for artwork reasons, all of the cards in this deck are from the base game, or some of the free DLC, the free D-Trial deck DLC. So, if you want to play this deck, you can actually do so with just some aesthetic changes without actually paying for any of the DLC. But, yeah, that being said, we will do our usual affair of going through the deck and explaining all the cards, and then we'll do one fight showing off the deck in action. So first of all, we will be starting with our ride deck, which, like with Graham Grace, Favrneel is one of the standalone bosses in D-Series, so he doesn't have his own dedicated ride line, so this ride deck is kind of scrapped together here. But our starter is Uncanny Burning, which again, all the D-Series starters have the same ability. When it's rode upon, if you want a second, draw a card. So nothing special there. This is actually meant to be the starter for Barrow Magnus, which I don't plan on building a Barrow Magnus deck, and I liked his art, so I decided to use him here. So that's our starter. Our grade 1 is Flaming Pony, who has an activate ability when he's in your soul. You can bind this card and soul charge too. So this is just a good soul charging engine. This card will always be in your soul since you're riding it, so you don't have to worry about getting it there. Favrneel focuses on getting your grade count in your soul over 13 to be able to restand himself. So this card just helps you get more cards in your soul to get there as fast as you can. So, next up, our grade 2 is Demonic Stone Dragon Jewel. So, this card is actually the grade 2 from the Draw Jeweled ride line. And he's got an auto ability when he's placed on Vanguard, or when he's on Vanguard or Rearguard. When this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you can soul charge 1. And then he's got a second ability too that only works when he's ridden over with Draw Jeweled, which obviously we're not going to be using in this deck, so that second ability is not usable. But his first ability is just a free soul charge if he hits, which most of the time your opponent's going to let your grade 2 Vanguard attack through. Easy for me to say. So most of the time you'll get the soul charge. If your opponent does choose to block it, it's just forcing them to, use up resources early in the fight. So either way, it works out pretty well. And then, of course, our grade 3 is our boss unit, which is Purgatory Dragon Deity Favrneel. So he's got a continuous ability that says you may have only up to one Purgatory Dragon Deity Favrneel in your deck. So you're only allowed to run one copy of this card, which means he cannot use Persona Ride, despite having the Persona Ride ability. But beyond that, he does have 3 auto abilities. First of which says, at the beginning of your main phase, your opponent chooses one of their rearguards, retires it, and if you did not ride this turn, this unit gets power plus 10,000 and critical plus 1. So this deck focuses on not riding anymore after you get to the grade 3, which is very much different from most D-Series decks that want to Persona Ride as much as possible. So this lets you take out one of your opponent's rear guards. Now they do get to choose, but it doesn't really matter. And then if you didn't ride, you get the extra power and the crit, so that's really helpful for your offense. And that first ability can actually trigger his second ability, which is another auto. It says when your opponent's rearguard is retired during your turn, you can put a card from your hand into your soul and draw a card. So this lets you get grade 3s out of your hand into your soul and replaces it with something else, so it is a ±0. It helps you fill your soul and hopefully increase your grade count. which ties into his last ability, which is another auto ability once per turn. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if the sum of the grades of Dark States cards in your soul is 13 or more, you can counterblast 2, stay in this unit, and this unit gets drive -1 until end of turn. So he can restand himself as long as you have a grade total of more than 13 into your soul, so you want to get there as fast as you can, which is why we're running a lot of cards that focuses on building up our soul as fast as possible. Now this ability does not have any sort of restrictions as far as what your opponent's Vanguard's grade needs to be. So if you can get the 13 grade count in your soul by turn 3 when you ride him, then you can potentially restand your Vanguard and attack against a grade 2 opponent if you went first. So being able to hit that hard that early is very useful. And of course from turn 4 onward, he is going to have 2 critical as a base, thanks to his own ability. So again, later in the game, being able to restand a 2 critical Vanguard is very, very useful. Plus, since his restand ability doesn't involve any discarding, he does get drive -1, but overall that skill is still a +1 since you're getting the 1 additional drive check and not having to discard. So yeah, overall very cool boss, very powerful. So moving on to our main deck, we are not running any extra copies of Favrneel because we're not allowed to. But beyond that, our other grade 3s are 4 copies of Execution Dragon Vorpal Scythe Dragon. So he's got 2 abilities. First, an activate skill. This is once per turn. You can Soul Blast 2 to choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So he's another control option. The retire will trigger Favrneel's skill to let you put 1 from your hand into your soul and draw. So again, that's another way to build up your soul faster. He does cost a Soul Blast 2, but all that really matters is the grade count in your soul, not the actual number of cards in your soul. So if you soul charge any grade 0s, you can blast those out for his skill, and it's not going to slow you down in fulfilling Favrneel's condition any. So his second ability is an auto ability that says when this unit's attack hits, you may soul charge 2. So again, more soul charge power. He does have to hit, so your opponent could just block him, but it's good pressure. And he can hit anything, so if you want to attack into their rear guard to try to get that soul charge in, you can always have that option. So next we're running 4 copies of Desire Devil Hystera. So he's got an auto ability. When this unit attacks, this unit gets power +2000 until end of turn for each of your stand rear guards. And if your damage zone has 5 or more cards, it gets power +5000 instead of +2000. So this card is just a beat stick. It's also a grade 3, so you know, more grade 3s to add to your soul potentially. But he's just there to be a beat stick. You need all the power you can get in this deck. So a strong attacker like that is always good to have. So that's all of our grade 3s. Moving on to our grade 2s, we are running 4 copies of Selfish Engraver. So she's got 2 abilities. First of all, auto. When this unit's attack hits, you can soul charge 1. So again, another on hit soul charge ability. And then she's got a second auto ability that says at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if your soul has 10 or more cards, you can put this unit into your soul and countercharge 1. So that second ability is the main reason we're running her. The countercharge is very useful in this deck, especially since Favrneel has to counterblast 2 in order to restand himself. Sometimes getting the 10 cards into your soul can be a little bit difficult depending on how many soul blasting skills you used. But really, this is our only countercharge option right now until I get my hands on the second card pass. So yeah, it's the best we got for right now. So next we are running 3 copies of Amazement Magician. So again, she's got an auto ability. When this unit attacks, you may soul charge 1. So this is yet another soul charge option. She does not have to hit, unlike Vorpal Scythe and Selfish Engraver. So she's a lot easier for her condition to be fulfilled. She just has to attack into anything, and you get the soul charge. So easier option to have to deal with. And then lastly for our grade 2s, we are running 3 copies of Steam Mage Bushiroad. So he's got 2 abilities. First, a continuous ability when he's on Guardian Circle. That says if your soul has 7 or more cards, this unit gets shield plus 5,000. And then he's got an auto ability that says when this unit is retired from Guardian Circle, you may put this card into your soul. So again, being able to put it into your soul after you guard with it is just another way to build up your grade count easier. He is a grade 2, so that'll get 2 more grades in there. You can call him to rear guard and attack with him if you want to, and then intercept with him and still be able to put him into your soul. So he can be an attacker if you need to, or just a unit to guard with. But either way, he can increase your soul count pretty easily. So that's all the grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s, we are running 4 copies of Brainwash Swirler. So 2 abilities. First, auto. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you can soul charge 1. So again, an on-call soul charging ability. And then his second auto ability says that when your card is put into your soul by soul charging, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. So this ability is not once per turn, so that means it does stack every time you soul charge. So if you soul charge a lot in one turn, his power can actually get pretty high. Now, this ability does only trigger off of skills that specifically mention the term soul charging. So Favrneel's ability that lets you put one from your hand into your soul will not trigger his. But all of our other skills that specifically say soul charge will, including his first skill. So the turn you call him, as long as you're at least at grade 3, he will be at least 13k for that one turn. So next we are running 4 copies of Steam Battler Gungnaram. So he's got the same on-call ability as Swirler, where when this unit is placed on rearguard, you can soul charge 1. And then he's got an activate ability that says once per turn, you can Soul Blast 3 and draw a card. So again, this is another Soul Blast ability, but any grade 0s in your soul aren't helping you anyway, so you can Soul Blast those out and turn those into card advantage, potentially, if you got unlucky with your Soul Charge skills and Soul Charged a bunch of triggers. Or if you just have an excess grade count beyond 13, 13 is all you need, so... if you have to soul charge some or soul blast some non-grade 0s, that's fine too, as long as you stay above that threshold. And outside of Favrneel's extra drive check, you actually don't plus a ton with this deck, so this card being a +1 is also very helpful. So lastly for our grade 1s is just our Sentinels, so we are running 3 copies of Repelled Malice Dragon. Standard Perfect Guard. Let's put on Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, can't be hits, and if you have 2 or more cards, you have to discard one. So, Standard Perfect Guard, and of course our 4th Sentinel is 1 copy of the Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude, so you can only have 1 of it in your deck, and if your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, you can play it without paying the cost. So, normally you'd have to discard 1, but you can get around it if they're using a grade 4 deck. So, like always, this card is useful at 1 of, lets you get around some guard restricts, lets you have a free Sentinel against grade 4 decks, so yeah, very useful. So now moving on to our grade 0s, which is just our trigger lineup, we are running 7 crit, 4 front, 4 heal, and our 1 over. So for our crit triggers, we got 4 copies of Diabolos Girls Mai Mai, just a standard vanilla crit. And then additionally, we have 3 copies of Stem Deviate Dragon, which is the ability crits at the end of the battle. This unit boosted, you can put in your soul and give one of your other units plus 2,000. I don't really ever use that ability. I'm kind of just running this one for the hell of it. So if you want to replace this with a different vanilla crit, you know, feel free. Putting him into your soul doesn't really help anything since he's just a grade 0. So next for our front triggers, we are running 4 copies of Diabolos Girls Natalia. So she's got the skill, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets shield plus 5,000. So 20k shield, more shield, always a good thing. And then for our heals, we got 4 copies of Diablos Girl's Ariana, which this is just the vanilla heal. Like I mentioned in my Graham Grace profile, if you want to run the effect heals, you can. It's really just player preference. I prefer the vanilla ones for their consistency, but if you'd rather have the effect heals for their situational usefulness, then, you know, go ahead. And of course, lastly, we have our one over trigger, which is Hades, Dragon Deity of Resentment, Galmageheld. So he's got his additional ability that says you get, during your turn, all of your Vanguards get power plus 10,000 and critical plus 1 until end of this fight. So this is an ability that actually gives a skill to the fighter themselves. And it basically acts as a permanent critical trigger for the rest of the game, stacked onto your Vanguard. So the earlier you check this in the game, the better, because that crit and power is just there for you for the rest of the game. And that does stack on top of Favrneel's skill. So that means if you check this early, from turn 4 onwards, your Vanguard is going to be just sitting there with 3 crit and be able to restand. So that can get very nasty very quickly. So yeah, that is the deck overall. Now we will go ahead and do one fight with it. Let's see. We did Graham Grace against Favrneel, so we'll do Favrneel against Graham Grace. And we are going first. Alright, so let's discard Engraver, I guess, and ride Flaming Pony. And then we just go ahead and end our turn. Which Favrneel, like Graham Grace, did eventually end up getting a very generic ride line in that stand-up deck set that they released, which they are putting those cards into booster set 10 for the second card pass. Ooh, she got a crit. But again, I'm probably going to end up actually not using the generic ride line, because I actually think that these end up working better. Though I might end up replacing the grade 2 with Squalid Freaks once I get the second card pass. And we're off to not the best start in the world since we got critted early, but it'll be fine. Alright. I hate to drop one of those triggers, but I think I will anyway. And we can go ahead and call... Actually, no, I'm not going to call her because she's going to ride Blaster Dark next turn, so anything I call will get retired. So I'm just going to attack. Vanguard attack. And we got a heal. Nice. So we can heal 1. And this attack hits, so we're going to get the soul charge as well. She gets a crit, that is wasted. Use Jewel Neil's ability to soul charge. And we soul charge to grade 0. So that doesn't help. Originally, I actually was using Crimson Eggspeller for my ride deck, but I ended up replacing it with Jewel Neil since Eggspeller uses a counterblast and Jewel Neil doesn't, so it helped make the deck a little less counterblast heavy. And she's filling up her field, okay. We'll let that one through. Oh, nice. Got another heal. And we get it. So we shall heal 1 and gain power. And And that actually needs a trigger to even hit, so I'm on no guard. And she got another crit. Well then. Well, that's fine. We've already gotten 2 heals, so we can go to 3. No triggers on all that. And we'll guard that, because I don't want to go to 4 right now. Alright, let's see. We'll drop gun ram, I guess. Ride Favrneel. And now we'll use Favreneel's skill to force her to retire rear guard. And that'll trigger his other ability to let us put one from our hand to our soul. So we'll put Hysteria. And then draw. So now we can call Brainwash Swirler. And use his ability to soul charge 1. This triggers his other ability to power himself up. And now we'll use Flaming Pony's skill from our soul to bind him and soul charge 2. Let's trigger his Sword skill 2 more times. And now, let's see, we'll call Vorpal Scythe over here. And we have very low grade count, so let's go ahead and use his ability to Soul Blast some of these grade 0s out of here. And then we'll retire one of their rear guards. And that'll trigger Favrneel's skill again, so we'll shove Amazement Magician into the soul. And draw another Amazement Magician. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we do not have enough to restand. Let's see, we'll call Engraver. And we'll attack with Vorpal Scythe first, because if he hits, then we'll get a Soul Charge 2, and we might be able to hit 13. If we get lucky. So activate his skill. And we did it! Alright, so that also triggered Swirler skill 2 more times. Giving him another 10k. And our soul count now is at 12, 13, 14. So we got enough soul now, so we can restand. So we'll attack with Favrneel. And get no triggers. But we got a perfect guard, so that's good. And she got a heal, when she does not yet, because we're at 3. So now we can use Favrneel's ability to counterblast 2 and restand. Now we only get 1 drive check this time, but that'll be okay. So we'll attack at Vanguard again. And no trigger. So that didn't hit. But now we can attack with our rear guard for 43,000. Thanks to Swirler's big giant boost. And it hits. So we'll get the soul charge as well. I was soul charged to heal. Oh well. And then Solar skill activates again, which doesn't help us any since it turns by then. So here comes Graham Grace at us. Alright, she got her full field. Let's see. You know what, we'll guard that one to keep her from getting her on-hit ability. And that's gonna be 20k, so... And let's see, we can go ahead and guard that one, I suppose. And then we'll let this one through. Alright, no triggers. So that'll give us the second face-up damage we need to use Favrneel's skill next turn. Ah! Never mind! We got an over-trigger. So... You know what? I'm actually going to give that power to our rear guard because I need that damage. So, yeah. Well, now we can let this one through too. Not have to use up our perfect guard right now. That works. Alright, so now we're not going to ride. And then use Favrneel's skill to take out one of our rear guards again. And now we gain our power and our crit since we didn't ride this turn. And yeah, we'll go ahead and use his skill to put Hystera into the soul. And draw a crit. Let's see. We got some grade 0, so we'll use Vorpal Scythe skill. And Soul Blast our grade 0s. Retire one of their rear guards, so we'll get rid of that bit of here. And I don't have anything in my hand to put in Soul, so we'll just not activate that. And we'll go ahead and call another Brainwash Swirler. And use his ability to Soul Charge. Which triggers both of their skills, so they both gain plus 5k. And I guess we're all set up, so we'll go ahead and attack. Attack with our Vanguard first. And she perfect guards. And we get a critical trigger. Nice. So we'll give the power and the crit to Vorpal Scythe. Nothing on that one. And now we'll use Favrneel's skill. Counterblast 2 and restand once again. And now we can attack again with one drive this time. And she guards. And we got another critical trigger. So we'll give both those to Engraver. And now she has to block all these because we're all at 2 crit. And she's only got 2 cards in her hand, so I don't think she's going to be able to do that. So we'll attack with Vorpal Scythe first. And she cannot guard. So as long as she doesn't get a trigger here, we got her. And she does not. Alright, so we won. So there you go. That is our Favrneel deck. Pretty fun deck. Really cool. We will be back soon with many more deck profiles. The next one up, we are going to be doing Thagria and her giant fucking titties. So that'll be fun. But until then, I guess that's all we got for this video. So lots of luck to you and yours.